CITN Taxation and You program, as approved by Council of CITN, is a monthly program on Zoom platform and also broadcast on YouTube. The program has benefited stakeholders within the country's tax arena, bridging knowledge gaps for both members and general public. It has covered key areas such as CITN activities, taxation, fiscal policy, tax legislation, and economic matters. Throughout the year, various experts in tax practice, administration, and academia were invited to address the themes, leading to a consistent rise in participation. This has made the program not only interactive, but also educational. Looking ahead, the program promises to be more educative and inclusive as we will continue to explore emerging and trending issues in taxation, finance, and economic matters. To sustain this educative and interactive program, the program is open for sponsorship. For sponsorship details, please contact the Head of Corporate Communication, Dr. Kemi Oluwagbami.
Good morning, all our viewers and listeners across all platforms and across the globe. It's a great excitement this morning to come with the July edition of the CITN Taxation and You, put together by our great institute, the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. And it's of great joy to have a very particular discourse which has actually been bothering us, and today it has suddenly become something we got to celebrate. Today's session is particularly significant, and a lot of people will be asking me why. Just a few days ago, precisely on Thursday, the 26th day of the month of July 2025, Nigeria's long-awaited tax reform journey reached its iconic milestone by the signing into law the 4 transformative Tax Act. And somebody is asking, what are these tax acts? This will definitely make known by the time we progress in the program of today. These acts are not just legislative tools. They shape how tax is to be administered. What does we need to do, both as individual and as business? And that's why we have come with the topic today, that now that we have signed this into act, we should add policy to practice. What tax reform means to businesses and to professionals like you and I. And today it gives me great pleasure to be guesting our own. This is not his first time on this program. It's been very much a very good friend of our CITN Taxation and You, and a senior colleague of our great institute. No other person than Mr. Aziz Alatoye, FCTI, FCA. Good morning, Alhaji, and great to have you this morning.
Thank you very much, and thanks to all the viewers.
Thank you very much. Like I keep mentioning to all of us, it's very much germane that you bring your products, services on CITN Taxation and You for us to promote it and make sure that we give you the global view that is expected of you. Before I go straight to the discourse of today and get engaging our guests, let me quickly go on a very short commercial. When I come back, I will continue with the program. I'll be right back. Welcome back, and I want to especially appreciate all our sponsors that have made CITN Taxation and You a global part. The Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, the Kwara State Internal Revenue Service, the Plateau State Internal Revenue Service. You've been a great backbone in making sure that we continually enlighten our participants. Thank you very much, my cameraman. These are our main sponsors, and we await others. Bring your products in. Let's actually project all that you are doing. So we go straight to the business of today, and let me see how I engage my erudite, who I'm very comfortable will do justice to this. Alhaji Alatoye, the president on the 26th of June, pardon me, this is July that we are, this is the edition for July. June actually signed 4 key tax reform. We're talking about the Nigerian Tax Act, the Tax Administration Act, the Nigerian Revenue Service Act, and the Joint Tax Board Act. From your perspective, what do you think this act collectively signify from the tax system in Nigeria? And how do you think the professionals and practitioners, should begin to respond to as regard these new reforms?
Yeah, thanks very much, Susan, and thanks to everyone. Let me first congratulate all Nigerians and also congratulate the Institute for witnessing the ascent of these 4 tax bills, because it's a very significant landmark in the history of the tax system, in Nigeria. If we look at the reform, it has been like pockets of reform here and there, since 1961, when we have the Income Tax Management Act, that is ITMA, and we have the Companies Income Tax Act, and we have the Petroleum Profit Tax Act, and all those acts, up till the present. Very recently, we have the Petroleum Industry Act. But this one now try to amalgamate all the laws and then reduce all the taxes that we have in Nigeria from 62, to to 1 digit, like 9 taxes, single digit in all. This is a very significant, reform that has happened, and I must also congratulate and thank the committee, the Presidential Fiscal and Tax Reform Committee led by Mr. Taiwo Oyedele. They did a very great job, and so my assessment of this is that it's a very great development, a very positive one for that matter. And I would suggest to we the professionals to make sure that we read all these 4 acts and then try to see how we can operationalize, this act. I also want the business community, to be very familiar with these acts, and then to make sure that they take the necessary benefit of the act. The first one is compliance. For everybody to be compliant, and for you to be compliant, you must understand the law. So the first thing both the professionals and the business community should do is to actually familiarize with the law. And I would say the first thing to do is just to be looking at taxation and every Thursday to make sure, because I know from today, for some time to come, the focus is going to be on this act.
Of course.
And people should also attend the various seminars and MPTP, that is a mandatory, training, process, program, workshop, on these. So I think this is what we, the professionals, as well as the business community, should be looking at in the nearest future.
Thank you very much, Ladi. That's a very good way. And we've heard it all as professionals, business models. We should go ahead to have a deeper understanding of this, and most especially the practitioners and the professionals, because the business community relies on your professionalism And when you don't have understanding of this, just like Alhaji said, how will you be able to advise your clients accordingly? With these reforms now being fully enacted, I think I was listening to the chairman of FRS, that's the former name, now the Nigerian Revenue Board, you know, talking to us to say this act will become operational by January, with 1st January 2026. I want to ask Alhaji, how should professionals, businesses position themselves now that we have a window of preparedness in such a way that we will not be caught in the nick when the operational, you know, an average Nigerian will like last minute rush, I don't even know. And you've actually enlightened them to say, join CITN traditional, you will have that commitment to enlighten you the more. What do you think that people can do, the professionals, the businessmen, not to be caught unprepared when the implementation starts by January 1st, 2026?
Yes, I must first comment, it's part of the reform that we are seeing, you know, now, that the law is not signed and we are not like doubtful as to the date of commencement. Again, the law is not signed to say it starts right now or is silent on it. It's already, you know, mentioned that the commencement is 1st day of January 2026. So we have full 6 months. In fact, if you ask me, it's more than 6 months, like 6 months, 4 days. Since the date it was signed by the president on the 26th of June 2025, I would be expecting everyone to pick interest, to read the law and analyze the law. You can see a lot of tax alert. For instance, as in our firm like Ascension, we've already rolled in, you know, tax alert. Some other firms have rolled in tax alert. So it means some professionals are already reading, diagnosing these laws with a view to implementing the law. And this is what my message will be to all of us practitioners, the chartered tax practitioners, to make sure that we read this law and then we do, like, you know, a brief write-up, you know, for our clients in terms of how they need to comply. I also wish that the business community start looking forward to that January 1 from now, as if it is now. It gives everybody opportunity to restructure, you know, your system. For instance, we already have the e-invoicing that the FRS, you know, has already put up. So you need to look at your system now and change your computer system networking to make sure that it complies with the new law. And that is not going to be sudden. You know, in the past, we used to apply to the FRS, then, now the Nigerian Revenue Service, to say, please, give our client 1 month, give them 2 months, give them 3 months. To be very honest, there will be no basis for any application when you've already been given 6 months. So this is where the professionals, we need to make sure we tap all our clients without exclusion. That look, you need to search your computer system to make sure that it's compliant, so that by the 1st of January, we just roll into implementation. And there will be no, you know, snacks. Of course, you will have done your model, the tax model, tax competition based on the new law, you know, using some hypothetical figures, so that from 1st of January, then the law will be, you know, implemented. So I want both the professionals and the business community to be very positive and proactive and very strategic as well in the implementation of the new 4 acts.
I heard clearly, be proactive, prepare yourself and get ready for this, so that you not be caught in the web when January comes. It looks very far, like you said. Some people will say 6 months, but some of these things don't come as easy as we think, and that's why we're of the opinion that our guest has advised us critically this morning to look at early preparedness, ask questions, read, engage with other professionals on what needed area of clarification. Like I said, our institute, we have the mandate of Mr. President to engage a lot of professionals. Even we will be looking for a way to bring in the chairman of the tax policy himself, so that everybody can come from different perspectives, enlighten our people on the way to go. I'll pick the next sector, this next section on the sectorial impact. This reform definitely will impact sectors differently, you know, depending on the compliance, the maturity, and the operational model. I want to ask, from your experience, I know how vast you can be. I've had opportunity to engage you in several interviews, and I know that your experience cuts across every industry. I want to ask, which sector are likely to feel the immediate effect of this tax reform, and how should professionals, practitioners, businesses in this sector, you know, prepare themselves to respond to these changes that will be happening?
Okay, that's a very good one coming from these reform once again. For instance, if we pick the SMEs as a group,
yeah,
they are one of the major beneficiaries of this act. It doesn't mean that they are not paying, they are not going to pay taxes. You know, ordinarily we will say they are not paying any taxes, which means they are not paying companies income tax, they are not paying VAT, they are exempted from all those. But we shouldn't forget that they also are consumers. And so to the extent that you consume, you will still pay VAT, you know, on all those things. So they shouldn't come with the argument that we are not going to pay VAT on our own consumption. So that's not what the law is saying. So meanwhile, they are very huge beneficiaries to the extent that they are not paying, you know, companies income tax. So this raises the level of their funds so they can really grow. And that is the idea behind it. So they are one of the greatest beneficiaries. But having said that, we also have, if you go to section 166, you know, schedule 10, you have about 51, you know, different sectors or products that this reform considered to be mostly needed by Nigeria. And these sectors, you know, have, you know, some sort of relief over a period of time. It goes across manufacturing industry, but this time around is product specific. It's listed there. Now you look at iron ore. You know, we've been struggling with iron, you know, in Nigeria. You know, specifically, you know, listed there. You have the maritime product, then you have the shared service product as well. They are all specifically listed there. My advice is that we who are the professionals, we should approach, you know, those are our clients who fall within these categories, and then try to see which of them, you know, because they have sunset up to almost 15 years, 20 years, and we need to let them know that you have this opportunity here. So, those of us who are external tax practitioners, as well as the business community who have this specific relief, should now start positioning themselves right now. You know, again, you need to look at what are the requirements for processing this kind of relief. So, I mean, if I were the business community, I would start putting those requirements in place. It's just like you are going to be given a question, but somebody has already given you the question to go and revise it, and then come and write the answer. So right from the first day of January 2026, these applications are supposed to roll in. You don't wait till 1st January before you start putting the conditions together. This is where the business community needs to be proactive. And then those of us who are consultants, we need to let them know that, look, these are the things you need to put in place so that they will be compliant. And it's not good to say, oh, you've allowed maybe 6 months to go, because that is from 1st January 2026. You now, you know, just start bringing your application, and then after that, you now want your application to be backdated to 1st of January, you know, in terms of processing 2026. That would not be right. It's just like somebody is sleeping over, you know, the benefit right and the benefit given to him. So quite a lot of industry, you know, has a lot of benefit there. As I said, about 51 on the list. So which I want we professionals to look at and then advise our clients, as appropriate.
That's very germane. 51 industry having that great benefit, from participating on this particular act. We cannot list. I'm sure if I start giving the platform to him to be listing the whole 51 of all days, it will take the whole day. But before I go to my next question, you said something that is very germane, and I want you to assist us to have that clarification. The small and medium enterprise, the MSMEs, you said they will no longer be paying taxes.
Yeah.
Can we have the classes? I know there was a figure pegged to it, so that somebody might not be thinking within themselves that this is where we are. Let them have a clue of what the value is.
That's right. Before we used to have it like 25 million, but sometimes I think go 50 million, but now it's 100 million.
100 million.
For which they have the opportunity. Once you cross that threshold, then you have to pay. I will plead with our people to avoid what we call aggressive tax planning. That would not be right. In the sense that some people who have, a turnover of 400 million, you can go to CAC and register 4 entities. And make sure that this is one, and this is one. So you make sure your revenue is 99, and then you don't pay tax. No, that would be very unpatriotic.
Unpatriotic.
Yes, I just advise that we have to be patriotic. At least we are not facing 62 taxes any longer.
Yeah.
We're only facing, one, and then it's only when you cross the threshold, and then you still have some sort of reduced taxes even going forward. Because the corporate income tax is going to be reduced as time goes on.
Sincerely speaking, we've said it that this is a game changer. You can't be doing the same thing the same way and expect different results.
Absolutely.
With this introduction of the new law, we are actually making progress. When I add 100 million, in fact, it gives me good people to say a lot of the Taiwo Daily led committee really have the interest of the SMEs. Like he used to say before he actually was made the chairman, his advocacy is on MSMEs to make sure that they grow, because that's where we have an average person. I want to pick certain questions relating to these administrative changes. The Nigerian Revenue Service Act introduced some new administrative structure and integrated compliance approach. How do you see these changes impacting on tax compliance and efficiency for professionals and businesses?
That bit of acts, all the 4 acts are very good, but that administration act is actually a very good one because it provides for consistency and it also makes things easier for reference purposes. It's now not that okay, I have to go to CITN Act to know what the procedure for CIT is, VAT Act for what they brought. So all those are consolidated in this act. So in terms of registration, you find it very simple that these are the sections for registration. If you don't find it here, then you can't find it anywhere again. So don't be thinking. So it makes compliance easier. It also has sections about assessment broadly. Assessment for companies income tax, assessment for VAT, assessment for this. So you also have that section. So it makes life easier for even those of us who are chartered tax practitioners. So it's easier. Again, it's also easier for the taxpayers because there are some taxpayers who might think my activity level is low. Let me just file these things on my own. Just like if you want to represent yourself in court as a lawyer, you have the right to do it. But those are the only persons who are allowed, to do things, on their own. So it makes it easier for you to look at how should I, register, how should I prepare my returns. All the various returns is contained in that section. And then the procedure for tax payments is also contained in that section. The procedure for penalties and offenses is also contained in that section. So it makes it very simple. I just hold one law and I can see everything about the Nigerian tax system. So it makes life easier both for practitioners as well as for the tax administrators. Because everybody is not as if, something is in another act that we don't know of. No. So it makes life much easier. It consolidates things and make sure that there is a uniform procedure. It unifies the procedure. This is in line with the tax neutrality, methodology, for which whatever anybody is doing is what any other person is doing. So somebody is not doing something in one way, another person is doing it in one way, and then we are having some sort of conflict.
Sincerely speaking, when you talked about consistency, it's the way to go if we must grow our economy. And this act definitely will speak a lot of this. Maybe on that, there was something I heard from the chairman of the board, saying that now that we have a consolidated revenue board, the different arms, these agencies collecting his own, down is collecting his own. Can you share with our audience, affirming it that now all these other agencies that one way or the other try to make revenue for government will only be relating with one revenue board, which other departments will now plug into? Is that the way it operates now?
That is the way it will start operating from 1st of January. And someone like me and many other people, we've been advocating for this. Because if you look at some other environment like UK, for example, HMRC, then you can see that they collect taxes and customs, and it's only one agency you are relating with. So it's a whole lot of confusion around there. So just as Mr. Chairman said, it is a very good development that all the other agencies that are collecting revenue, let's take NUPRC, the custom, for example. Nothing exactly port. You have the head of these people also being part of the system, especially when you go into the joint revenue board. You have them there. So there is a need to consolidate this thing. For instance, if you have the NUPRC and you say somebody doesn't know how to collect the royalties, for example, we have experts already there. So all you don't need to do is to create a unit within the Nigerian Revenue Service, and you have the royalty unit. So these are people who already have experience at the NUPRC. You just second about 5 or 6 or 10 of them, as the case may be, under the Nigerian Revenue Service. So it's a new service, and we have the word Establishment Act. So we should forget about the old one like a Federal Inland Revenue Service is taking our staff. No, we are establishing this new Nigeria Revenue Service, as a new body. Now having this as a department, having that as a department, the benefit of that is that we will be able to account for the Nigerian revenue on a monthly basis. Instead of saying, oh, FRS reported this, Nigerian Customs Services reported that, NUPRC reported this, various stamp duties reported, so many people are just reporting things and it's not coordinated. I think that's why I said it's a very bold reform, and it's a very great one, since our revenue life started.
Yeah, I must say this, that I think as a country, we were actually starting a bit late. I remember when I was in Gambia, myself and Taiwo Yedele, and he saw that and he said, Shesa, come and see, ordinary Gambia here, they don't have duplication of taxes. Absolutely. It's just a revenue board, Gambia Revenue Service that's actually moderating that. These are things we are advocating. And saying that coming to limelight, it just took me straight to while both of us were just chatting at the airport on our way to Gambia to say, this is dream come true, and we are very grateful that things can be streamlined and you can manage it. If you are just joining us, this is CITN Taxation and You, and I've been guesting this morning on this July edition, our erudite speaker, Alhaji Aziz Alatoye, FCTR, and he's been talking to us from policy to practice, what tax reform means for businesses and professionals alike. And we've been doing justice to the 4 tax act that has been signed by Mr. President on Thursday, June 26th, which will definitely become operational by January 1st, 2026. But before I proceed, definitely there will be room for our participant to ask questions. But before I proceed to engage you, Alhaji, it's good that I pay some bills, because these are the bills that give me the liberty to continue to operate on this program. And on that act, I will go on a very short commercial break. When I come back, I will continue to engage our guests. Please stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Are you tired of long queues and incessant visit to the tax office? What if we told you you could carry out all your tax-related activities from the comfort of your home or office? With the KWIRS self-service portal, everything you need is just a few clicks away at selfservice.kwirs.com. Here is what you can do. You can file your payee assessment, submit your annual returns, individual and corporate, request your tax clearing certificate, apply for your CRIN, which is the Kwara Resident Identification Number, get your indigent certificate, register for Hajj and pilgrimage, and make all payments due to Kwara State Government. No paperwork, no stress, no office visit. Just fast, seamless, and secure service anytime, anywhere. Start now at selfservice.kwirs.com. Need help? Call 070-0695-9477 or email helpdesk@kwirs.com. KWIRS. Play your part, pay your tax.
Special thanks to all our sponsors who has keep up moving on CITN taxation and UD Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, the Plateau State Internal Revenue Service, the Kwara State Internal Revenue Service. We appreciate it. And for those of you that still feel we can promote your businesses, we are open, and just reach out to our head of corporate communication, Dr. Oluwajbami, which will definitely be projected at it. So back to you, Aji. I want to look at the role of our members with this new tax law, because it's germane as professionals, as practitioners, to see how we can do. You know, knowing fully well that our members we have served in different capacity as frontliner in tax education and interpretation. I want to ask, what do you think are the role that you actually foresee for CITN members in interpretation, implementation of the provisions in these reforms, particularly, I must say, to the SMSC, because they play a very major role in these particular reforms?
I would say that the role of CITN members is very critical. That is the word I'm going to use for it. It's just like you are asking a question that what is the role of an engineer, a current engineer for that matter, in building a house. So we are talking about taxation here. So the role of the CITN members, the professionals, you know, generally, especially the chartered tax practitioners, is very critical. We have to, you know, study the whole of this law, analyze it, and then be involved in training, you know, people on the implementation of the law. We should also support, you know, the people in terms of the computerization and then restructuring of their computer system for compliance. So there is a whole lot of work that members of CITN need to do, you know, on this law. it is a very great opportunity for members of the institute, in the sense that we should look at it, you know, the grade of a country is by its revenue, for example.
Yeah.
And we are talking about the revenue matter. And if you look at it, this is about taxation significantly. We have that revenue, but the larger part of that revenue is taxation. So if we have this great opportunity, we should really face it very squarely as a major issue. So our members should acquire, you know, adequate knowledge about this new tax act. We should also acquire skills about it, because knowledge alone is not going to be sufficient. If you know something and you are not applying it, it's not going to be sufficient. So we should also make sure that we acquire skills, and this is one of the scheme of the institute in terms of visiting our professionals and then seeing how their practices are going and advising them and all the rest of it. So the role that we have to do is very critical. We should also share experience, like as we're having now. You know, we have our members on board. Some of us will come, we'll share experience, another person will come and share experience. We should also be very free to share experience, because we should not allow our members to fail, you know, in understanding the right thing to do. We shouldn't say, oh no, this is the way we used to do things before. You know, some people will still probably want to go and be looking at some other act, like, oh, how do tax appeal tribunal operate? You know, how do the office of ombudsman operate, and all those kind of things. It might be very strange to some people. So by the time that they are acquiring, you know, more knowledge about these things, they also need to learn, you know, skills, new skills, to be able to implement it. So the role of our member is very, very critical in implementing this, and that is why I try to distinguish it by the way we look at the current engineers. We know if they are not where you want to build a house, you know you are building a disaster. So for we to succeed in this revenue drive, you know, our members must take it very serious. Both that are in administration, that is at the Nigeria Revenue Service Office, they must know this law very well, and they must be ready to share, you know, in their experience. And those of us who are practitioners, we must also do this, as well as the taxpayers, especially the bigger ones, the multinationals who have tax departments. You know, everybody must really be very interested in this law, and we must dissect it with the hope of implementing it for a good compliance, because it is cheaper to be compliant. It is very, very expensive to be non-compliant.
That's a very great way to put it. As professionals listening to us, this is where your expertise is actually needed, because you just made mention, how will you be talking of building a structure and you don't have a current certified engineer supervising it? Definitely you need to even present that from the regulators before they listen to you, and that's the role we need to play with this new Revenue Service Board. And every one of us, we must definitely be active. One thing we can assure you as an institute is that continuously we'll continue to bring different professionals speaking to us on their experience as they proceed with the implementation of this act. And that leads me to this question, Alhaji. Practically, when it comes to implementation, there are always bottlenecks. You know, when you are transiting from an old regime to a new framework, it's not like somebody moving from an old house to a new house. There are bound to be challenges. Could you highlight the major implementation challenges you have envisaged, you know, that businesses might be facing, that the new law are effective, and how can professionals support? You know, because we cannot just feel that this will come and it will be that seamless. There are definitely going to be implementation challenges. Practically, what are some of the things that you have actually viewed being a senior colleague of our great institute?
Okay, one of the major challenges in life, you know, is change. But there is nothing constant in life other than change. So we cannot run away from this change. it's going to come with some challenges. For instance, the first challenge that is going to come up with is knowledge challenge, knowledge gap. So we as professionals, we have to start looking at these things. And this is why I keep on repeating that, look, our members should read these acts from beginning to the end, because this is what we are doing. So the first major challenge is even knowing what it is. Quite a lot of people have been asking, you know, for the high level of what are the acts saying. And that is why those of us who are in practice, we are doing tax alert, tax flash, and so many tax this and that, so that people can be well informed. So the first challenge is knowledge itself. So the solution to that is manpower development. We have to make sure, you know, there is manpower development, and that is why I first acknowledge this taxation, and you know, very constantly that people will be doing. The second major challenge that we will be facing is the ICT changes. We cannot run away from it that, look, this new law is going to require experts sitting down to reconfigure your system to be compliant. We have to look at, for instance, like a statement of a taxation standard 9 that talks about, you know, tax planning, which is tax planning correctly. I mean, you need to make sure that we do the right thing in line with this new law. Where in the old law, you just make an accrual and then you make payments. And then you make a claims. This one now, if it is requiring you to make payments before you are able to make claims, then you have to restructure your system to make sure it captures it. So there is a whole lot of ICT works that needs to go in between now and December. And there is a time frame within which to do that. There is no luxury of time. That's why I said everybody should have started since 26th of June, when the law was signed. From 27th morning, you know, I know quite a lot of people call me, have you seen this, have you gotten the original, and you know, because our people are very eager to know what is there and start implementing, you know, the law. So there are quite a lot of challenges, but I believe there are challenges that we will overcome, you know, over time.
Yeah, there's something you mentioned that these challenges, you spoke about the issue of knowledge gap, talked about the ICT infrastructure being put in place, which is a focal point. I always tell everyone that care to listen that the revenue of the former FRS didn't just spike up to be trillions that were actually given back to the government. The introduction of the tax promax, which is an IT infrastructure, really aided that. It's been one of the things that the chairman of the tax force, Taiwo Idina, have been advocating for, that if we must increase and streamline block loopholes, you can't do without going the ICT way. So for all our professionals listening, you can't run away from ICT.
No,
so if you can't do it, get an expert who has actually paid the price to understand what it looks like, to get your IT infrastructure in readiness for January 1st. There is no better time to start than June 26th.
That's right.
2025, so that you not be caught in the bud.
That's right.
I want to say this. While you look at those challenges, ethically, there is a problem. I will always say this, you know, now that you are introducing ICT, ICT does not know individual. You know, those days, you can beat your corner, go around with this. I know strategic tax planning under the new regime will definitely walk through a tightrope. That I very know, because when you talked about technology, you just have been, you would have given the instruction to the system. Like when people go to tax programs, you don't pay as at when you, from that day one, you start counting your penalty.
Correct.
It doesn't know you whether you are my friend or you are not my friend. That's what you. Can you clarify how this ethical and strategic tax planning will play a critical role under the new regime without bridging compliance boundary?
Very good. You know, going forward now, I think it's going to be a very good thing for taxpayers to help them to be able to comply, you know, with the tax laws because of the ICT that is going to tell you what your liability is, what your penalty and interest is on a daily basis, and you have access to them. This is a fantastic thing. This is an excellent thing. So I will divide this thing into two. Let's look at it, from ethical perspective. We should forget about this corruption or no corruption or whatever. We should forget about it totally and focus on doing the right thing rightly. Let me cite one of the businessmen, Warren Buffett in those days. I mean, he's still alive and he's still doing very well. He made a statement which is very germane, that if you want to hire somebody to work for you, look for 3 qualities of that person. You look for intelligence, you look for energy, and you look for integrity. He said, if the person does not possess the 3rd one, please do not bother about the 1st and 2nd. So we must actually have integrity in terms of what we are doing. And then this must be the platform. And I would advocate again that all our members should read the professional rules and practice guidelines of the institute. As far as being objective, is concerned on whatever we do, and all those rules, that are there. The other aspect, you talk about how do we plan, ahead. That one has to do with the statement of taxation standards. And the specific one that deals with the issue of tax planning is the SAS 9. So in that SAS 9, you have different concepts about compliance with tax. Tax planning itself, means that you are planning to comply with the rules and regulations with respect to a particular tax, so that you can pay the correct amount and avoid unnecessary penalty and interest. That is my own definition. I'm talking about tax planning. Tax planning does not mean that you are planning against paying the correct tax. In that statement of taxation standard, you also have what we call tax avoidance by way of explanation. Tax avoidance is when you look at the law, you take advantage of the law. But again, in that same standard, you have the tax morality concept, which has now countered the tax avoidance. Because tax avoidance is, you look at what the National Assembly has done, and then there is a loophole, you want to take advantage of that loophole. But tax morality now tells you, no, even though they made a mistake in the law, or they created an unintentional gap in the law, for you to pay a lesser tax, then don't take that advantage. Pay at least the minimum tax, also to the society. So that is where tax morality comes in. It deals with the issue of aggressive, tax planning, which is, I gave one example before. You don't engage in an aggressive tax planning. This is very wrong. Talk less of tax evasion, where you don't want to pay tax, now you are suppressing information. Luckily, I said, it's very helpful now because you cannot even suppress any information. You raise the invoice, the FRS has said. So everybody has already said. So it's very helpful. Going forward, it's going to be very helpful, and you pay your tax and you don't need to, plead like some will say, when you are begging the FRS, before now it's going to be NRS before. When you are begging them, they will ask, are you in begging practice or in professional practice? So now we are going to be in professional practice, because once the liability is there, the liability is there, and you have to just go and pay. And so, but if I will advocate that people should please comply, so that you don't have to pay penalty and interest. And again, it adds to your reputation. Once they know that this firm, this company, they are very compliant, unless any human error, which you sit down and then you correct, and then you go on, it will not occur in the next 10 years, So that would be my advice to our professional colleagues and the industry as well.
That's a great one. You said something. So you are actually building your image, your reputation as an organization, yes, because of just simple compliance level. To say you are compliant, people just don't know if it is that organization. You can take their word to the bank. Absolutely. So where there are minimal issues, they say, okay, no, let's quickly look into this, because it is not, we know who they are. So when you comply, you are saving the cost of actually building your image and reputation with the regulators that are concerned. For those of you that are actually raising your, I will soon open the line for us to ask our question. Kudos to the President and the ESCO of our institute with the Governing Council, who has actually approved an extension of this program. Before now, we used to have it every 1 hour, but we now have it 1.5 hours because we feel we must do. And that has not just come on a platter of gold. It's with the support of our sponsors, the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, the Kwara State Internal Revenue Service, and the Plateau State Internal Revenue Service. I won't mind if I can get more sponsors, at least to take this to another 2 hours, knowing fully well that when you don't have the knowledge, it becomes difficult for you to grow in any perspective. And on that note, my technical team, I want us to open the line at which we'll be having questions to be. Please, I quickly want to state this. Let's adhere to the topic of discourse. We have more than enough on this particular discourse. And let me welcome Oluwayomi. I know your hand must have been paining you. That hand has been up for long. Can you unmute and ask your question, Oluwayomi? Oluwayomi, unmute and ask your question, please. Okay, while we are waiting for Yomi to unmute, can we go to Stephen? Stephen Davy.
I hope he's not here.
And for those of you that are very shy like me, you can always throw your questions to us in the chat room. My technical team, are we fine? Yomi, can you unmute and ask your question?
See that threshold, it will pay tax. But I think that if such company exceed that threshold of 100 million, I think it that it's only the excess should be taxed, since the company has not changed from being medium size to a scale size.
Okay, I think if I pick your question because it came in a bit late, is that for people that will exceed the 100 million, you are saying that it is of the excess that should be taxed since they've not transited. Yeah, okay, we will note some of these questions down so that we can do justice together. Thank you very much, Mr. Yomi. Stephen, can we have you live?
Okay, thank you very much. It has been a very good session. We want to test. My question is, can we have a soft copy of this bill, as it were, on the institute website, so that we can do a download?
Okay.
The hack, I mean, can we have a soft copy of it uploaded on the CITN platform so that we can download it?
Okay, I think what will be the challenge is we are yet to get a signed copy. But the one that every professional is actually using now, will definitely, since I have my producer here, will definitely share with every member so that we can study, so that at least when you are having it directly from the institute, you know it's the valid one, you are not reading out of context. That will give you our commitment to actually come out. Ahmad, thank you very much, Oyibo Ali. Ahmad, can we have you live?
Good afternoon, everyone. My question is concerning this, the new tax, bill. How is it going to impact on the state inter-revenue service and the FCT inter-revenue service? What is the benefit that they're going to drive from this new tax law?
On which side? Please repeat the question.
I said, how is the state inter-revenue services and FCT inter-revenue service can benefit from this new tax reform?
Okay, you mean the administrators, the subnationals?
Yeah, I mean the inter-revenue service, the state inter-revenue services. And the
the subnational.
Yeah, so
your question is clear. Your question is clear now. So, what would be the benefits to the the regional, the subnationals, the State Internal Revenue Service, this new tax law. I think the other one is Olaiton. The first question. Olaiton, please unmute and ask your question, please.
Good morning. Yeah, I have two questions, sir. One of the questions is that we have talked about reading through the bill, but there's an aspect I want clarification from our guests. I think the issue of revenue collection will be administered by the Nigerian Revenue Service. I saw some clauses, provision there whereby they stated that it will be on maybe a mutual agreement. That means that some agencies that if they said they are not going to, they don't want the revenue service to collect their tax. So it all depends on agreement within the, I don't know, maybe I got that the interpretation right or not. But that's a area whereby it's not going to be automatic. Okay, that's one. Then the second question is this e-invoicing. Because I am seeing it might create a lot of conflict. Because many people, the way they do their business is fine. There is a standard. But not everybody has this accounting structure or want to deal with the IT because they're looking at the cost. So, and they are doing volume of transaction. And wouldn't they be having issue with the tax people because they don't even have the professional that manage them. So how do we, how is the next level service going to, address this so that there will be no confusion? Because now you said e-invoice, then the people that they have their own invoice, how will they be using
Okay. Thank you very much, Olaiton. Your two questions are noted. I want us to quickly do justice to this question that have been raised before I come to the next four, because I know I'll still pay some bills shortly. So you can respond to them, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks very much. Let's start with the last one and start moving back on the e-invoicing. When the law prescribes something, as we said, for those who have a turnover of 100 million and below, because they are not paying their CIT. If you say they don't have an ICT, to support their thing because they are very small businesses, probably that is fine. But let me say that if the law requires something to be done, that definitely should be done. And if somebody has a threshold, even if it's a laptop, a very small laptop where you keep, your things. But for now, it's not even coming down, to that level. I believe it's going to be the big players and then the middle players. For the SMEs or for SMEs, of course, there is no challenge with that. But I would also suggest that they also use some small, softwares to keep their record. Just in case somebody wants to argue that you've already crossed 100 million and they want to say no, we've not crossed 100 million, maybe practically as it stands now, there are some errors of remittances where maybe somebody remitted withholding tax on your behalf and there was an error in that remittance, or even there was no error, to the extent that when you gross it up, it now shows that your revenue is more than 100 million. And you are saying you are not under 100 million. So these are the snacks where the skills is going to come in that we discussed earlier. So it's going to be very, good, at least if one has a software that is being used. But as I said, maybe not for the smaller, players for now. But it's always good to have it so that you can make sure that anytime you are being reviewed, you are actually compliant. So I think that's one of the areas that we'll need to look at, going forward, especially those. This one will go, with the first question that was mentioned as to the threshold. Again, about the threshold and the taxation of 100 million, when you cross the threshold, then what should you do? these are the areas requiring a uniform understanding. Of course, now we already have a uniform understanding. Applying the principles of tax neutrality, you will say that if you are not taxing anybody on the 100 million, you are not taxing them on the 100 million, then any excess over 100 million, you pay tax on that. However, we need to look at the wordings of the law, the exact wordings of the law, because the authority might say no. Once you have a 101 or 103 or 105, sorry, everything is going to be taxable. So these are the areas of snacks where we will need to sit down. Now, if you need to configure your system, you know, such a way that you back out 100 million, and then you know this is the little I have, you know, to pay tax on. How should tax be computed on it? These are the area which I mentioned, the issue of skills. As we move on, they said angel is in the details. Some people will say devil is in the details. But because we are not dealing with devils, so we would rather say that angel, you know, is in the details. So I think this is one of the questions. Now, the third one I want to go to is the area of the sub-nationals. If you look at the law very well, we have the Nigerian Revenue Service that is going to be administering the taxes, you know, that are for the Federation. But we still have the sub-nationals who are still going to be administering, you know, the personal taxes. Let me put it that way. It's still there. But as time goes on, what I, you know, personally have been advocating that, look, if we have one that, you know, is like a central one, so whether assessment of this, all the states will be there, and their revenue can still be accounted for. But, you know, in our environment, we still want, you know, this is our own catchment area, this is our own, so we are probably not there yet. But this is a significant milestone, you know, forward, to the extent that quite a lot of all the revenue are going still to be collected by the Nigerian Revenue Service. But we still have those other offices. Now, why I don't want to talk so much about that is, I cannot assure, you know, about maybe employment status. One of the challenges is that, okay, if you say it's only one central revenue agency, so what about the people at the various tax offices? You know, which I don't want to delve into, because, you know, that's a sensitive area that needs to be looked into. But I think everybody as it is now can still be working, you know, under this the centralized system for those ones that are central. And when they collect, the Nigerian Revenue Services collect, you know, is for the whole federation that they are collecting for. What I know is that those subnationals are still there, you know, by the law. But over time, but when the states now see that, look, oh, it's very convenient for all of us, and nobody is being negatively impacted. Now, let us operate it the way you see it, like in Gambia, the way we see it in the UK, and nobody is actually wrongly impacted. If you are in one location, anywhere in Nigeria, you can be in Maiduguri, for example, and you can pay tax. You know, for Lagos, you can pay tax. For River State, you can pay tax for, and you can be anywhere in Nigeria, you can pay. So people will then see that, oh, so why are we having, you know, these different offices? Let's have one office that you can reconcile. If you pay, for instance, tax now, and you wanted to process land, you know, the land document in any state, this authority will see it. You can't hide anywhere, and you cannot avoid to pay, you know, and you will now eliminate double taxation, which is what this law has achieved significantly, eliminating multiplicity of taxes. Once you pay tax, either in Ondo or Osun or Ogun, now, anywhere you want to process any document, they will see that you already pay your personal income tax. So is any other charges relating to that land in that state that you will pay. But nobody will say, go and pay another 10,000 naira, you know, for this. So it's an area that when we go into the implementation, you know, there should be collaboration, both from, you know, with the Nigerian Revenue Service and the sub-nationals, as well as the taxpayers. And we should support them so so that we can succeed.
That's the way to go. We must provide our support as individual, as business owner in all that we do, at least to make our country great. The best way to be patriotic is to give everything that you have to your country. Stop criticizing without objectively providing solution. And for those that have actually provided solution, look for a way to actually support that we're doing. Before I go to the next set of questions, to all our participants that are actually joining us on Zoom and all other social media, I have a gift for you if you are able to respond. There is going to be a question which I expect your response on all our social media handle. You are not going to answer it on this platform. You can go to our Instagram, our LinkedIn, our Facebook, our TikTok, all our social media handle. The first 5 correct answers will definitely have a takeaway by the time I come for the August edition. So don't go anywhere. We are improving our lot, and this I will give to my institute and to our sponsor, because you know the way the Gen Zs are taking education now, you must incentivize, you must motivate them. So that's why I've come with that approach to say there will always be a gift for every one of you, and the best way to get information is by visiting our social media handle. You go to the website, somebody is saying upload this on our social media handle, and we get it. We have our WhatsApp channel where we get our update information that goes on with our institute. All our social media handle, we are all there. So expect a question, and the first 5 fastest finger will definitely have something to take up next month. I got a note from my deputy registrar, the producer of this program, that the signed and gazetted copy of the tax law, we are still awaiting it, like I said, and as soon as we get the gazetted copy, we will definitely make it available. But my guest today has actually given a promise that we'll have some to share with you, pending when we get the gazetted copy, for you to start studying, because this that we are giving to you today supposed to have started June 26th. Don't forget, I keep re-emphasizing that. Let me welcome Chukuma with his question.
Okay, sir. Please, I don't know whether I heard you very well. This 100 million, is it for SME or who?
It's for MSMEs.
Because SME, no, it's 50 million. It's 50 million. So.
Okay, he's having a confusion to say whether it's 50 million or 100 million. You know, you mentioned 100 million, and he's saying that what you read is 50 million.
Okay, you know, as the deputy registrar said, and I've also even been asked, I said, let's see the gazetted one.
Okay.
You know, because I believe what is there is 100 million.
Okay.
You know, however, when we see the gazetted one, that is the one we can quote. And that is why I think he sent that note that maybe we take caution in sharing any draft.
Okay.
So that people will not, you know,
be misquoting us the way. So as soon as you get the gazetted copy, that will validate for you whether 50 million or 100 million. But the copy that we currently have in circulation, which a lot of people are studying, stipulate 100 million. Today, son, can we have you live?
Yeah.
Hello, good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you for a very beautiful session. Now, I'm a very strong advocate of tax avoidance, and my position is that if a draftsman cannot properly situate the tax, it is not my business to pay it. That's always been my position, irrespective of the tax moral policy. That if you're taking money from people in the form of tax, then it is your responsibility as a draftsman to properly place that tax in the statute. If you fail to do that, I think we should be encouraged to take advantage of it for our clients. So I don't know if my position is too hard, but that's something that should be encouraged among tax practitioners. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tunde. That is noted. Let me welcome Ado Mohammed. Ado, unmute and ask your question, please.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much, and good afternoon. First, I just have a question, and my question is on MSMEs. But just before the question, please, I would like to just make a comment and then I will go straight to the question. I think the question asked by the last speaker, issue of 100 and also issue of 50, I read something I think is one of the areas of disagreement between the House of Reps and the Senate. And I concur with our special guest that I think we should wait until we see the gazetted code, because the House of Reps proposed 100, and then they said the Senate has reverted it back to 50. So I think there is a disagreement. So that is the comment. Then my question is regarding these MSMEs and also the issue of tax jurisdiction. I am still looking at maybe putting some to disadvantage. Most of the MSMEs are registered under business name, not corporate bodies. And if they are registered under business name, ordinarily they are within the tax jurisdiction of state internal revenue and also within the purview of PITA, not CITN. So how will this law protect those part of the MSMEs that are registered under business name? Because if we go by what we have been saying, I think this threshold is captured under the CITN, that is the company income tax side. So then that leaves those MSMEs that are registered under business name and within the jurisdiction of state internal revenue in a bid completion, and it may put them to disadvantage at the end of the day, because the state internal revenue might say no, based on their tax jurisdiction, you will still be subjected to personal income tax, which will be the graduated rate. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Before I allow you to respond, Alaji, I don't want my sponsors to pick me up on this. I quickly want to go on a small commercial break. When we return, you respond to some of these questions and we can get your parting shot. Technical, can we have one of our sponsors?
Babe. I nearly broke my leg rushing out the door.
Oh, I'm sorry, baby. Where are you rushing off to?
I'm rushing to the LIRS office to find my tax return. You tripped on the stairs trying to answer your call.
Come on. You can file your tax online without having to break a leg.
Yeah? Are you sure? You're laughing at me, Abby.
No, I'm serious. Okay, listen, I'm serious, baby. Listen. You can file your tax online using the tax platform. It's easy and straightforward. Simply log on to tax.lirs.net using the AI.
E-Tax is an automated electronic tax payment service that makes tax operations more convenient for taxpayers. Taxpayer registration, easy access for both new and existing taxpayers. E-Tax, simple, quick, reliable, and secure. For more information on how to use the E-Tax services, log on to www.tax.lirs.net.
Welcome back, and thanks so much to our sponsors who have given us the leeway to continue to educate our members on the contemporary issues that is happening in the tax space and even in the economic space of our nation. And it's been a very insightful time having our guest, Alhaji Aziz Alatoye, FCTI, who has actually been giving us enlightenment on the new tax law that was signed June 26 by Mr. President. Let me take one more question, then you add it to this. For all our members, I can assure you, who are still getting this on, and you can throw your question to us in your chat room. Caller Wale, please, can you unmute and let me ask the question?
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
You're welcome, sir. My question is about the digital trade economy. At the subnational level, I work in internal revenue service, state internal revenue service, Ondo State specifically. How do we capture and collect income tax from digital trade economy at subnational level, like e-commerce, fintech, cryptocurrency trading, social commerce like Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook? how do content creator, how do we collect tax from these people for?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much to all our participants. Their hands are still up. Please just pardon us. Let me allow my guests to do justice to this question, then I can roll out some questions.
All right. Let me start with this last one, digital economy. The simple answer to that straightforward is manpower development, because we have a gateway. There is nothing that is done, on ICT that cannot be captured by the government and on a location basis. So, to those of us who are not ICT, based, we may not know where, in the orbit where certain transactions happen and all those kind of things. But those who are, at the gateway, at the national level, they can tell you, through NCC, through that, all these government agencies, they can tell you where certain data platform is operated. And that is where some of us are advocating for, central arrangement. To the extent that the whole 923 square kilometers of Nigeria has demarcation that they will say, this one has done this one has done that there. So the revenue of each subnationals will go to that subnationals. And this is where I also agree that, when we talk about the centralization of these things, each of those states, of course, is going to have representative there. And then they will know. We have these revenue experts. The revenue experts who are ICT people. And that is why when somebody is on Google or you are on YouTube or you are on this and they are paying you, based on certain traffic, certain activities and all the rest. So I think it's more about manpower development. In our various state internal revenue services, we need to develop the manpower, just like some states have done. I know Lagos State has gone very far.
Yeah.
It's extremely difficult for you, whatever you are doing in Lagos State, that they will not catch you. or unless they just want to
turn away their eyes.
But
it's not about them, it's about the technology.
Yes, it's about the technology. Yeah. It's about the technology. There is nothing you can do. There is nowhere you will go and sit down and hide. Say, let me hide inside this one village and they will not catch me. They will get you because they have gurus there. They paid for it, of course.
Yeah.
So I would advocate that our state, we tax professionals, we should learn more about ICT. And then so that our tax authorities, when they want to accredit people, that's one of the areas we didn't even have time to go. Accreditation of tax agents. I don't really think any tax authority should accredit anyone who is not a tax person but with ICT flair.
Yeah.
So it's a very excellent point that our brother has actually raised. Fantastic one. Each state authority should develop the technology in their state and make sure that they are able to capture the revenue, that is due to them online. So you need to also get experts. You can get them on a consulting basis to come and train people, in your unit, and absolutely you will be gathering your revenue. And you will see the level of revenue that you will be generating. As it stands now, you have a number of people who are doing digital business in various locations and they are not paying taxes. So it's not possible in an ICT, environment. So I would advocate manpower development at the subnational levels by our state authorities, internal revenue services, and I also will advocate that the internal revenue service should be given autonomy, and then they have funds, to be able to fund these things. Because by the time you put the cost of fund, to the executive, they might say, let's defer this thing. It's nothing to defer any longer, so we have to all collaborate to make sure that the revenues of the subnationals really get to them and they are able to perform. The second question, back to number 2 question from number 3, is the issue of business name. We have categories of how to run businesses in Nigeria. An individual can run business without necessarily approaching the CAC, just like a one-man show, and you don't even register. However, such a person should be taxed, by knowing his address or her address, where he stays, and then where he does the business. For instance, if you go to advanced environment, and this is why I'm always advocating for technology. There was something that was that really impressed me when I tried to go and study my law abroad. When I got to the airport, they were asking me, yeah, put your right finger here, put your left finger. I was doing all those things. And, by the time I got to my door, I have different letters. I have letter from local government saying, welcome, Mr. Latoye, this our office is in so, it will be kind of you if you can come and see us and then we can discuss your tax matter. And you got another one from the medical. Look, you have to, see us in our medical so that you can do. So this is where we need to get to, addressing system. We must know where each person is. And I'm talking about the people who are doing business without registering. And I know Lagos State are taking, proactive step to do that by these property, identification, registration, and so on. But I think Lagos State was also scared out of that scheme because everybody said, hey, so now you're asking for our houses because of taxes. You are not coming to do our road. And those who are pursuing that scheme also withdrew a little bit. So they should know everybody living in every house and what they are doing, that they are not criminals. So we then go to the next level of business. You register a business name. A business name pays tax to the state authorities. And sometimes they don't even have accounts. They don't have accounts. It's not statutory for them to have an account unless it is so made now going forward. Then we also have partnership. We have limited partnership. We have limited liability partnership now. There is a controversy on where limited liability partnership file returns. But this new act now has said limited liability partnership should file return with the state. So, and if we talk about limited liability partnership filing returns with the state, then everybody under them will file with the state. Limited partnership, the general partner, specific partner, and as well as business names. These are individuals. They are not companies. When you look at this act and you look at the administration act there, it says the Nigerian Revenue Services shall have duties for collecting from the following people. Number one is limited companies. And when you talk about companies, limited liability companies and various limited group, public limited, private company, limited, and then even limited by guarantee also need to account for taxes. That's under federal. It listed some other categories of people who have always been under federal. But when you get to subnationals, you will see that taxation of individuals, and these business names are basically individuals. It's just that they want a formal registration to account for their revenue and costs. That is why they are registering, them with their CAC.
Alhaji, permit me to interject you at this point in time. Our time is fast spent. In 30 seconds, can you please just give us your parting shot?
Thank you very much. And my parting shot, I'm going to use to address the first question, which is tax morality. Tax morality is about loyalty, patriotism, to our country. The point my good brother raised is a very good point. If I see that some people, they are not so careful about the law, and the way they've drafted it, I can take advantage of it. In the advanced environment now, they are looking at it as if somebody is unpatriotic. And that is why they are now frowning at it. So, and that is why I also want us to be proactive and move ahead to be patriotic, so that even though there are some lacuna in the law, we still have obligation to contribute to the society so that our infrastructure can also be upgraded.
Thank you very much. It's been a very insightful time having Alhaji Azeez Alatoye on our show for this July edition. It's always a great time. 1.5 hours is not enough for my girl, but definitely one thing we are very sure is whenever we call upon you, he always obliged to always offer the service to our people. Thank you very much. And on this note, like I mentioned the other time, visit our WhatsApp channel. If you go to our messages platform, the link is already there. join the WhatsApp channel. It's been displayed on the screen, and get the question for the month. I'm not going to read it here. Get the question for the month on our WhatsApp channel and respond on all our social media handle. The first 5 answers would definitely be appreciated during our next program. And that is visit our WhatsApp channel, get the question from it, and you'll be able to get that done. Before I go straight to the announcement, I quickly want to recognize the president of our great institute, the 17th president. He's been online with us since morning to also learn. He's a man I give respect to. He's a continuous learning for my president all the time. Thank you very much to the presidency, the ESCO members, the governing council. We acknowledge the fact of being part of this show. That is leadership by example. Let me quickly run through the few announcements that we have for this month. The commencement of the exam registration for the October 2025 diet is on. It's a CBT and CBE exam. So we want you to know that the exam comes up 14th to 16th October. So you have somebody that you feel is interested, please let them visit our social media and get the link to register for it. As members, it's compulsory for you to participate in the MPTP program, and we have the Ibadan virtual MPTP program coming July 8th. July 8th, there will be the Ibadan virtual MPTP program, and you can see on your screen, we'll be having guesting us the 2 key professionals. Come on the 17th of July, we'll be having the Port Harcourt virtual MPTP program, which is definitely going to be handled by this professional. The fee across board, like you see, is 15,000. And towards the end of the month in July, we will be having the Abuja physical MPTP program. That is Abuja MPTP program. And for members, that will be 25,000. Non-members, it will definitely be 30,000. I want to use this platform also to announce to you that the 53rd induction ceremony we hold in Lagos come November 2025. The date will definitely be announced, but the portal is being opened for you to register for the induction ceremony. You can have the flyer on the screen as we have it. And on the final note, the 8th annual international conference for taxation comes up August 13 to 15, and the theme for this particular annual international conference will be taxation in digitalized and globalized economy, challenges, opportunity, and sustainable solution. The host for that particular program will definitely be Lagos State University or JOE, and that comes up August 13 to 15 by the special grace of God. All inquiries and questions should be sent to us on CITN at CITN.org. If you have any inquiry to make, you have any question, any observation, your institute is tech-based, our technology is top-notch to respond to every of your queries, every of your observation, and you can do that by sending us a mail on CITN at CITN.org. It's been a very quality and engaging time for us on the July edition of CITN Taxation and You. Like I said, you can be part of the sponsor of this program. I've gotten some messages right here from 2 internal revenue services also showing interest to be part of this particular program. We'll definitely get back to you on that, on the process that you have to follow. Until I come your way, I cannot say till the month of August, because I think we have a special edition which will be communicating to you. Make sure you are not far from the WhatsApp channel to get the updates of activities going on. Visit our website. Be on all our social media handles. the Instagram, the LinkedIn, the Facebook, the TikTok to get up-to-date information about your institute. Until I come your way on the next production, I want to give appreciation to our executive producer and all the crew for all their support in making this edition a very worthwhile. Until I come your way on our next edition, stay glued to CITN Taxation and You. I remain your anchor, Olusesan Okunade. Bye for now.
We all put integrity and service with God on our side. We shall attain the dreams of our founding fathers to achieve a tax-driven economy. CITN, CITN, Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, promoting tax compliance culture. CITN is soaring higher. We all put integrity and service with God on our side. We shall attain the dreams of our founding fathers to achieve a tax-driven economy. CITN, CITN, Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, promoting tax compliance culture. CITN is soaring higher. CITN, CITN, Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, promoting tax compliance culture. CITN is soaring higher.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace all battle honored, and this we count as gain. To hand unto our children a banner without stain. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build our nation where no man is oppressed, and so with peace and plenty Nigeria may be blessed.